Hey, yo, Brandon Crampton, what's up? Guten Morgen. How are you? Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. I'm chilling. Chilling. And chilly. It's raining and cold. But yeah, we should be good. I'm looking forward to doing some painting. We did lots yesterday. So yeah, looking forward to it. So yeah, we're gonna do a study first. A little quick thing. And then yeah, we'll get into it. I'm gonna do painting time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna do a little. I've never joined it. I've always wanted to join like Sword Timber when it comes around, and so I thought for the first little bit, I'm just gonna do a quick Sword Timber. Got a couple of refs, and like that basic idea of something I want to do, and so yeah, we'll do that for like, I don't know, half an hour to an hour, and then I'll jump back into this. I got some like changes that I want to add to this, and obviously like the whole background and all of that. But yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, what's news? What's news, my dude? Yeah, Art War was really good. I really enjoyed Art War. I wish there was something like that again. Yeah, if I had a big enough platform, I'd put something on like that. Because yeah, they're really fun. So yeah, what? Okay, so like I said, this one we're gonna get back to. This one we're gonna start. I found these two refs. Obviously, this is Obsidian. Quite like Obsidian. It's pretty metal. And this is I don't know if it's actually real. This, like, maybe it's just been painted, like it was charred and then painted black. So something about this doesn't feel real to me, but I do kind of like this, like, sort of layering of stuff. I could imagine like a sort of a very brutal kind of dagger made of obsidian that kind of looks like this. So yeah, I've heard good things about the Bjornament. A lot of cool stuff. Super tiring. Yeah, it did look like a lot of work. But yeah, it's cool. Very cool. Yeah, I watched a little sort of like YouTube thing about obsidian, because there used to be obsidian blades specifically. There used to be this old like Aztec weapon called, it's this thing, and it's called a macuatl. Macuatl, and yeah, it's basically like this wooden club, and sometimes they have like a continuous like razor of obsidian, and sometimes they're like this, and they also do like a sort of a spear version of it, or like a more like, yeah, I guess like a spear slash sort of halberd kind of thing with this. But yeah, what I didn't know about obsidian is when you there's like a specific way that you can like shard it to make obsidian razors, and obsidian razors are way sharper than metal. So if you sharpen steel, the you sharpen it on a whetstone, you can get it down to about 500 atoms across. When you look at it under an electron microscope, but a obsidian razor, it gets down to 10 atoms across, so it's like way sharper. It's a lot more brittle, obviously, but in terms of like a cutting weapon, you imagine getting hit with this, just insane open wound. And the Aztecs used these, and apparently it was like when they was it the Spanish that they fought, Spanish conquistadors. But yeah, apparently there's lots of writings about the macuatl, that weapon, in like the diaries of the Spanish, and they're just like, yeah, it's fucking brutal, dude. So I was like, for the warm up today, I'll do like a little sword timber, dagger December, unhinged oxygen. Hello, welcome. Welcome. Guten Morgen. How are you doing? That shit was wielded by like 6 foot tall jacked peeps. Yeah, man, like, just imagine being hit by that. It's a lot of bleeding, homie. I'm doing good. How are you? Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Really good. Yeah, we had a good stream yesterday. I had a good night's sleep. So yeah, tickety boo, as they say. So I'm just doing a little warm up. Gonna do this sort of like obsidian dagger, obsidian Chris. Don't know why, but something about this brush and the background color is instantly a thing of this person knows what they're doing for me. I do like drawing with this brush. It kind of looks like charcoal on newsprint. It's got that kind of look to it. It's quite nice for sketching because sort of there's a kind of vagueness to it, which I kind of like. I mainly use just a pen kind of brush and a flat brush. It's a bit for sketching. Yeah, I use this thing for, for rendering as well. This is all pretty much rendered with this brush, and I use it for drawing as well. It's I hate switching brushes all the time, so leave that sketch there as a bit of a ref for myself. So I'm just setting this up as if it's like lying on a table, and then I'll sort of put a bit of a surface down, and then I'll work on the blade itself. So yeah, I'm just doing this this little warm up of kind of like a blade design to start with. An obsidian blade. Yeah, not having many brushes is, or not having like many in regular use is pretty much how I've always operated. Coming from like someone that basically just learnt with like default round brush for the longest time, having tons and tons of like active brushes is like just a bit alien to me. I like the way that the obsidian sort of shards like this. Those kind of striations that you get. It's very, very cool. Yo, esophagus. Thanks, thanks for the follow. Great name. Welcome to the stream. Do you like this kind of like blue in here as well? Don't forget to water your esophagus. Yeah. Yeah, I'll try not forget. Actually, we can save those speculars for a different layer, because in fact, on that note, I will sip some coffee in honor of esophagus. Yeah, I was just saying, obsidian, although it's quite brittle, it's like incredibly sharp. It can much sharper than you can sharpen steel. If you get an obsidian, if you shard it into a razor, and there's like a particular technique that you can do to do that, you get it insanely sharp. Just looked at your art station. Oh, cheers, bruh. Appreciate that. I've been around a while. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so like this ref that I've got of this wood here, I like the way it's kind of like got these different sort of layers to it, like it's you know, the bark and then the underside, and I was thinking like, oh, the way that this is chipped, those two things I sort of like. I like the idea of sort of the dagger being a sort of sharded and layered like this. It's not a clean blade, but it is a sharp blade. I don't really ever design anything really. You know, as an illustrator, the designs are already done a lot of the time. So I don't really design stuff that often. Hey, good morning, Oracle. How are you doing? Yeah, we're just warming up, doing a little quick like weapon design, and then getting back into the image that we were working on yesterday. May I ask how a beginner illustrator start or getting start for game industry? You asking how I got started or how you could start? Just so I know. I'm working on the third Sisters of Battle thumbnail. Oh, nice. Yeah, you'll have to show them when they're done. Looking forward to seeing them. Seems like you're really enjoying the iPad as well. It's making me want to give the iPad another go. How could I start and how did you start for reference? Okay, cool. Yeah, I actually started out as a concept artist. So I got a junior position at a studio in London, which is where I live. And as a junior concept artist, originally concept art was what I thought I wanted to do, you know. But during the kind of process of doing the junior position, I did get to do like some illustrations. Did some illustrations for RuneScape, for example. Did some illustrations for Sea of Thieves and other games. And it was actually like those illustrations that I ended up enjoying more than the concept artwork. And that basically sort of led me down the path of being like, well, actually, I'd rather pursue being an illustrator than a concept artist. So from there, I decided that actually I wanted to go freelance. And yeah, I went freelance, and I was at one point working with a guy who ended up leaving and going to work at Stunlock Studios, which is in Sweden, and they were looking for an illustrator to do the splash arts for Battle Right, which was the game that they were making at the time. And that was like my first like proper freelance gig as an illustrator, bigger freelance gig, I should say, as an illustrator. And yeah, since then, work was like fairly steady, to be honest. Like those splash arts were quite popular, and I was also streaming quite a bit at the time as well. And at one point, I was doing a Riot splash art competition, and I was live streaming basically my process, kind of like I'm doing again now. And I got contacted by an art director at Riot during that time while I was doing the competition, and they were like, hey, we saw your stream, and we are working on something new. We think it would really suit your style. Let's have a chat. So had a chat with them. That project ended up being Legends of Runeterra, and yeah, that was a really kind of big opportunity, and that kind of was the beginning of my freelance career, really. And then I worked with Riot many times on different projects since then, on like the KDA music videos, as an example, stuff like that. So yeah, I guess short answer was a junior position at a studio, and then yeah, a bit of being in the right place at the right time, I guess. If they weren't actually watching their stream, then don't know if that would have happened or not. But so I know you don't necessarily want to hear right place, right time, but I'd say like the advice is you've got to get your work seen, right? If no one knows your work or like who you are and what you're doing, and your work's not visible, then they can't hire you, can they? So you got to be visible somehow. I'm not really big into social media, so I chose like live streaming as the way to essentially get my work out there, because it's something I enjoy doing, and I guess people can like actually see how you work as well, which maybe, I don't know that everyone that has employed me has ever watched me stream, but it certainly has come up quite a bit, that people have seen the streams. So I feel like it does work for me to stream. I have got work because of streaming. Yeah. You know, my current employer, I used to stream for them as well, so there you go. Concept art is not an easy position to get into, is it? I honestly don't know what it's like now. I honestly don't know what it'd be like getting into it now. At the time, for me, like, I spent a lot of time really putting off trying to get into the industry until I felt like my skills were of a level that I wasn't going to struggle, because I spoke to some people that were working in the industry already, and they were like, hey, it's a bit of a struggle if your skills aren't there, and like, you don't want to end up losing the position because you're underskilled. So I actually didn't get that junior position until I was like 26 maybe. And it's something I had wanted to do since I was like 20, so it took a long time for me to feel like my skills were at a point where I wanted to commit and really do it. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I waited. Because when I did get in, even though I was quite skilled, you know, specifically at sort of drawing and painting, I still had a long way to go. And I was like, I don't know how I would have done it at any other point. I think I would have struggled really hard. So I'm glad I waited. Trying to set up a concept art portfolio, but I enjoy illustration way more, but beginner illustrator jobs do not really exist. Man, I'm still sad Legends of Runeterra doesn't really exist anymore. That was my dream project. It's exactly what I love doing. What did you say? But beginner illustrator jobs don't really exist. Yeah, I mean, they do. I hire juniors into illustration positions, but they are few and far between. You know, as a junior, you're usually doing much more generalist kind of stuff, which I still think is a really valuable thing to do. When I was a junior concept artist, I was very much like a generalist. I would be doing all sorts of stuff, 3D, photo bashing, you know, illustration, concept art, etc. And it gave me a whole suite of understanding and tools to use. So I feel like it was very good. I picked up a lot of skills and techniques that I wouldn't have taught myself otherwise. So it was very good for that. And just got to work on a whole variety of projects as well, like indie games, you know, smaller titles, AAA titles, you know, realistic stuff, stylized stuff, you know, music videos, you know, print marketing, digital illustration stuff. Like, I don't know, it's very, very interesting. I'm currently doing my major in game art, and I'm just trying to build my portfolio in the meantime using stuff I made for myself at college. Yeah, I'd say, you know, the best thing you can do is just work on your skills, your fundamental skills. Like, I got my junior job based off of my sketchbook, not even anything that I'd put in my portfolio. It was quite literally my sketchbook that I showed, and I didn't even have my digital work with me, and it was just based off of that, because they could see that, like, fundamentally I understood what I was doing, based off of that. So portfolio is, yes, it does matter. Having obviously digital work to show people that you actually can do it, but fundamental skills is way more important. Like, I'd be able to tell from someone's sketchbook whether they'd be worth hiring as a junior or not. Way more than their portfolio, to be honest. Lots of what's so an illustration portfolio, obviously, yes, it can show certain things about the person and what they can do and what they understand. The thing is, with like portfolio images, you don't know how long they've taken. Like, it could have taken literally months for that person to achieve this, with lots of reference and critiques and help from friends and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Whereas the sketchbook kind of much more rawly shows like the raw ability of the person, and you can tell a lot from that. Like, pretty portfolio images are nice, and it's good to see, like, oh, you can reach a certain quality bar, but for the most part, I'd much rather see a sketchbook. I'll get a measure of like what people fundamentally understand. A sketchbook will show me how well you understand perspective, anatomy, you know, shading, what your ideas are like, what your composition, like your initial sketches for compositions are like. And that to me is way more helpful than like a really finished piece. The finished piece really only shows me that you can finish stuff up, and like that's also something you can learn quite a lot on the job from a senior artist. So yeah. One day I hope to join a studio as well for longer than a few months. Oh, hang on, sorry, I've missed a few things here. Thank you for the answer. Yeah, I've been trying to get my work to be seen. Yeah, I just keep going with the being seen. It's kind of a constant thing. And you just gotta, if you enjoy social media, right, and the sort of, you know, I guess the kind of Instagram or TikTok kind of grind, you know, then go down that route. If you're like me and you just like, I'm not doing that shit, then you might find that something like streaming, or, you know, making long form or short form like video content is much more your thing. But yeah, you do have to get your work in front of people. Unfortunately, that might mean playing the social media game. Well, you got to at some extent. Like, there's really no way around it. Did you enjoy AAA or indie game more to work on? Do you know, indie game stuff is actually super fun. You have a lot more creative agency. You know, I've worked with some studios, really small, like, you know, 2 people working on a game kind of thing. And those have been the most fun illustrations because they turn around quite quickly. So, you know, they don't go on for years and years at a time. So that's quite fun, but also you have a lot more creative agency because essentially, for the most part, you're talking to like two people that are really good at coding games and they don't really have any illustrative talents, so they're relying on you to bring some ideas to the table, and so you get quite a lot of agency in that respect, which is really nice. And yeah, the short turnaround is also nice because it's stuff that can go like immediately in your portfolio, which is important. There's so much like AAA stuff that will never see the light of day that I've done, because, you know, NDAs, and not all the illustrations and or like concept art and stuff that is done for a project gets shown. Companies are very particular about what's going on, especially if you're a freelancer as well. Like if you work in-house, obviously that's fine, but a lot of companies don't really want to show that like some of their work has been outsourced and so on. So there's a lot of stuff you end up not being able to put your name to, or not even being able to show, etc. So yeah, indie projects are a lot more fun. They're less like bloated as well. Like a lot of AAA development is very slow. It's like and there's usually so many people that have to approve something for you to be able to show it. A lot of the time you end up not being necessarily super satisfied with the final product, and like not even wanting to put your name on it because it's been sort of a design by committee sort of thing. So indie definitely is more fun. But you have to do a lot more indie project, like, you know, a lot of smaller indie stuff, they don't necessarily have like the budget, so it's in your interest to try and get it done kind of quickly and move on to something else. But you can definitely make a good living doing indie stuff. Do you still have that old sketchbook? Yeah, I have all of my sketchbooks still. Yeah, I've got loads of them. I can bring some in one day. We can go through them if you like. Might have a few pictures of stuff that was in that sketchbook. Let me have a quick look. Izzy, hello. How would I feel about doing portfolio reviews on the stream? Yeah, I'd be down for that. Like I was saying, I would like to organize like a stream where I just do like paint overs and or portfolio reviews, and we could do that, you know, like once a month or something. I'll be down with that. Are you guys down with that? Be nerve-wracking, huh? So I'm just quickly going back through some photos to see if I had anything from that sketchbook. It's a long way back. What are we painting today? We're going to be finishing, not necessarily finishing, we're going to be continuing on with this landscape that I started yesterday. But I'm just doing a warm-up on this first. Just doing a quick sword dagger kind of thing. Sorry, I'm just looking for some old sketchbook photos. Here we go. I found a few. Found some life drawings and stuff, and some sketches. Okay. Yeah, these are some stuff from sketchbooks from back in 2015. Some are life drawings and like portrait studies, and some are like made up. So yeah, this is a portrait study, probably from like evening portrait class, so around about 2 hours or so. Yeah, these two are the same kind of character. This was like drawing this kind of like horrible, kind of bloated, weird witch with like big eyes. So yeah, those are from the sketchbook, or one of them. But this was the sketchbook that I got my first job with. And then yeah, these are life drawings, so like 10-minute pose. I think this one's probably about 40 minutes maybe to an hour. Yeah, these are... I moved around the room on these, but these are some shorter poses, maybe like 15, 20 minutes. This is another portrait study class, so yeah, it's probably in the region of like up to a couple of hours. And yeah, I've got some more of these. This is from my Moleskine from around that time. All these different... all this stuff. When Moleskine paper used to have that really good paper where you could get those really nice like darks with just an HB, they had this like slightly yellow paper that was a bit thicker, and when you rubbed it out as well, you could get white by sort of rubbing it out. So it was really nice to draw on because you could get like these really nice darks on it. And then they changed the paper to this just like shitty, cheap feeling, like not as thick paper. And yeah. So yeah, this is from all around that time. So. So yeah, I did have a lot of digital work back then as well, but to be honest, the sketchbook stuff was much better back then. And yeah, I think, well, I know so that the strength of my sketchbook was what got me the what got me even offered the chance to get the job. And whenever I look at stuff, I'm always like, oh, I'd love to see like actually someone's sketchbook rather than a lot of their finished work, because my digital work didn't really reflect the amount that I understood and my skills in a way. But you know what they said was that essentially that you'll pick that stuff up more on the job by just working with senior artists and seeing what they're doing and having a bit of a process. But you know, what you're not going to pick up on the job is like fundamentals. So if your fundamentals are lacking, like your actual understanding of perspective and anatomy and stuff like that is lacking, then you're going to really going to struggle and or probably end up losing the job, you know. And that's why I spent a long time just working on the skills, because like I said, if you can use Photoshop to like an okay level, you will learn from a professional on the job very quickly about how to set up illustrations and, you know, how to essentially do you'll learn the process. But yeah, you can't learn fundamentals on the job. There isn't room for that. It's not school, essentially. So I'd hire someone with good fundamentals over having a good portfolio necessarily. And bonus points, well, actually more so, you got to be a good vibe fit as well. Like, he's got to be nice to work with. You got to take feedback well. You got to be chilled out. You got to not get flustered under pressure. And yeah, you just got to have a real passion and a love for it, you know. If you got good fundamentals and a real passion for learning, I would take that over like a really, really good portfolio. Because, yeah, portfolio can be pretty misleading, honestly. You know, I've had people that have got a really good portfolio, right? And you're like, wow, yeah, this person can definitely do the job that I'm going to be asking them to do. And when it comes down to it, it's like they actually can't replicate anything in their portfolio to the same level, because the portfolio pieces that they did took months and months and months with lots of input from friends and critiques from other artists, and lots of research and this, that, and the other, and they can't do it in a time frame that the job allows. It's kind of like in a way, can be a sort of a fake interpretation of your actual skill level, because it's kind of like the job does require you to really understand the skills that are needed to complete the job, and I don't think a portfolio piece necessarily tells me that you can do that. And I've had it happen a few times where people are just they're capable of doing it when they're on their own and they have a long time to do it, and like I said, all of the help that comes with it. Pop Potato, thank you for the follow. And all the sort of help that you can get from, you know, building a portfolio with friends and mentors and stuff. But when it comes down to it and they're left to their own devices, like, can they actually do that stuff with a daily update? And they can't do it. Whereas someone who's just got very good fundamental skills, doesn't get stuck and hung up on those things. It's more just process, and like they can literally learn that in 2 or 3 like small critique sessions where you show them something, and they're like, oh, okay, I can do that, because it's not the fundamentals that are holding them back. It's just not knowing a particular process, or not knowing like a sort of a little Photoshop trick or something like that, you know? So very informative. Well, there you go. Biggest component, luck. Yeah, there's a huge amount of luck in obviously finding like a first job, but this render is so cool. Thank you. So how long? I'll do a few more minutes on this dagger. Just wanted to do this as a warm up, and then I'll get back into the painting for today. So yeah, don't mean that to like, you know, scare anyone or anything. That's not the point. But I see a lot of people sort of spending forever on the portfolio and getting these pieces together that I guess they think are going to be really impressive and get them the job. But that's why you'd be like, why do I have to do an art test, right? You know, you might have applied for a job and they're like, oh, we want to do an art test for this job, and here's like a sort of a 2-week brief, and you got to do X, Y, Z, and you're like, wow, why do I have to do this? Like, I've got a whole portfolio with stuff in it. And it is exactly this reason, is because the portfolio, I can only tell you so much, and that actually it's not necessarily representative of your actual knowledge and abilities in a time frame. I do believe that you should be paid for art tests, though. I would say that. I do believe you should get paid for art tests. I hate it when a company is like, can you do this unpaid art test? I'm like, no. Absolutely not. It's my time. Especially if it is an unpaid art test and it's actually for a live project that they're doing, and they're like, oh, we need to test you on this stuff, and it's like actually a live project. I'm like, no, you can pay me for that for sure, and I will do it and prove to you I can do it, but I'm not doing an unpaid art test. Sod that. Free work. What we do is we would hire people for a couple of weeks, basically, and you know, so they get paid for 2 weeks' work, and we test them on all sorts of stuff in that 2 weeks, and so it's basically like they've had a job for 2 weeks, so they get real experience, they get real feedback, they're working on real project related stuff, and they're being paid for their time, and it enables us to really see like what it's like to actually work with someone. Dude, this blade looks sick. Oh, thank you very much. Wanted to do like a obsidian blade. And I'm just going to do like a last little thing on it, and then I'm going to get back to what we were doing yesterday. And we will never use your work, even as an idea, never. Yeah, exactly. I would be wary of unpaid art tests, especially if you're kind of new. But I understand that you might really want the position and you're happy to do that, and obviously that's up to you. But for the companies that have paid for art tests that I have done, it always to me says like, okay, there's a little bit more. They know what's up. They know your time is valuable, and so on. And it's always a little bit more comforting to know that they give a shit like that, because some places don't, and they will just get lots of people to do art tests, and keep the work and use the ideas or use it as the basis for like another artist to work over, and they're basically just getting free work out of people and taking advantage of the fact that people want to work. People want to work there and have really no intention of using it, so you just got to be careful. If you get bad vibes, it's probably correct. And work on your fundamentals. I want this dagger. Yeah, me too. Don't think you'd get it home on the plane though. Rioletto. Hello. What was I going to say? Something I was going to say. I can't remember. But yeah, fundamental skills. Don't ignore them. You honestly, it's a much better spend of your time to just work on your fundamentals than it ever is to spend a month on a portfolio image, in my estimation. People ignore the fundamentals because it's just a bit boring, I guess, to some people, or they think that actually having like lots of illustrations in your portfolio is going to be the thing. And I'm just saying, from my point of view, as someone who hires people, I'd much rather see your fundamentals in your sketchbook. I'll get a much quicker idea of what you're capable of doing from that than I ever will looking at your portfolio pieces, because I can't trust that you can do what you've done in your portfolio in any sort of production time frame. Two years ago, me and my friends went to Scotland. One of them bought 2 swords and had them shipped home. Nice. Do you actually spend months on single? Do people actually spend months on single portfolio pieces? Yeah, I, I've seen it. I have done it. People seem to forget a lot of the time as well that they get critiques, right, from people on their portfolios, and um, this stuff is fine. But when you're doing things in your job, a lot of the decisions that you have to make have to be yours alone, right? The day to day, you can't just like constantly be in contact with your art director and be like, what's going on? And so a lot of the time, people they don't count how much work that they have been helped with, and their idea of their skills is kind of inflated because of that. You need to be aware of what you are actually capable of on your own. I think this is where the distrust in portfolio pieces can come from, because people lie about the time they've spent on them, or not even lie about it. Let's just say that they're just unaware of like the time that's been spent, and the input from other people that has led to the piece being the way it is. And yeah, that's why there are art tests exist, and so on. To be honest, it wasn't meant to be a portfolio piece. I just worked on an illustration on and off for fun. And look, okay, yeah. Quick 30-minute sketch, yeah. All right. So sorry, I've gone a bit over on this one than I had intended to, but it's just an hour and 10 minutes warm up. The obsidian dagger. Let's put in some final touches. Could be an MTG card. I'm gonna call it. Where is? Splinter of the Abyss. This is if Five Gum made daggers. Splinter of the Abyss, Lorem Ipsum. Yeah. Okay. Okay, give me 1 second. Save this. No, I haven't heard anything from Playgrounds actually. Okay. Splinter of the Abyss. What kind of stats do you reckon this has got? +5 aura farm. Yeah, do you think it's poisonous? Yeah, if I had a bit more time on it, I would make the handle a bit more cooler. It's just kind of not very cool right now, but alas, I do want to get onto the landscape that we were working on yesterday. Had some thoughts about where to go with that. So we'll get onto that in a sec. I'm just going to make a very quick cup of coffee. As in, like, I'm just going to flick the kettle on and then I'll be right back. And then we'll chat for a couple of minutes while that's getting sorted, and then we'll get into it. So, be right back. Would like to do some more kind of sword timber style. Well, we need to think of one for February. Dagger December would have been great. We could just do Dagger December in Feb. Which would be pretty cool. But yeah, I would like to do like some pick a different material, or refs, interesting refs, and do like a dagger as the warm up. So I could just do them as the warm ups on the stream for a little bit. Do that. It'd be cool. It'd be cool to do ones that pick some weird materials and do those. Alright, kettle's boiled. Okay, so let's get back into it. We'll leave the splinter of the abyss and we'll go back to our guy. So yeah, I was having to think about this last night. Obviously the background, like from these things back, we need to do, but it's kind of a bit less important than the foreground. So I'm going to work a little bit on the foreground today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is that we're going to do. Just going to make all of these. I just want to turn some layers off as well, because I had kind of previously said that I didn't want to make it like super sort of like misted out, you know? And I think that's still the case. Oh, when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, it is kind of just getting like a little bit just sort of misted out in the vagueness, you know? And that I wanted it to be a lot kind of brighter than that. So just got to be careful that I don't just mist everything out and then it's like, oh, it's just another sort of misty environment. The point of this was to be a little bit more sort of brighter and inviting overall. And yeah, there would be a little bit of smoke and like sulphur smoke to sort of help us separate stuff out and give it a bit of atmosphere, but it wasn't necessarily the intention to be like fully smoked out. So I'm just going to turn those smoke layers off for now, and do that. So the other thing that I was thinking about after stream is like I want more structures in the roof. At the moment, this has got a nice flow to it, but actually I wanted the roof to appear a little bit more, you know, like imagine there's pools at the very top, like these have pools on the top of them. They have sulfur pools on the tops of these structures, and maybe it's like the sulfur's like bubbling up and comes out and forms these. That there's still like pools on the very top of these, of the roof, so like on the other side, and therefore like, you know, water would sort of drip with the calcium and sulfur and stuff in it under this edge, and maybe it like leaks through the bottom and it creates like these sort of funnels and stuff. So imagine like this kind of structure. Whoa. This kind of structure, but upside down from the ceiling. So I want to sort of design something like that up there. Yeah, like these on the ceiling, because the ceiling's like a little bit bare right now. So imagine, there you go, done, ship it. But the ceiling like this, and I really like the sort of gradient and the colors. So like this stuff would still be like dripping down and forming, and maybe that influences some of the structures we see. Wait, what was it with playgrounds in Eindhoven? Oh, I just wanted to go and do a talk there. I did a talk at Playgrounds last year in Berlin, and I was like, oh, I'd love to go and do another talk, and I wanted to do it in Berlin again, but now Playgrounds is only doing Eindhoven this year as like an anniversary thing. So, yeah, that was all that was. Oh, you live very close. You want to go there? Hey, I reckon go there if you're able to. It's a really good workshop. It's great for meeting lots of people and networking. And yeah, I think you'll enjoy yourself there. Get to meet lots of people. That's how I met Oracle is there, and yeah, some other people. I don't know if they're actually in the chat right now, but a whole group of people I met there that were really, really nice. And keen artists trying to make it in the biz. So yeah, it was really fun. But I've not been to the Eindhoven one yet. I'll also be there traveling from Austria. Very nice. How comes Eindhoven is so unimpressive? What is it? Just what about it? Tell me. Yeah, I mean, it might be the reason that's why they can do it there, because it's cheap enough. Because we used to put on an event like Playgrounds in London. The last one we did was in 2017, and it was fucking expensive. So I imagine if Eindhoven's like not particularly, impressive as a city, it probably means it's a lot cheaper to hire venues and so on, which means that something like Playgrounds is possible there. Because let me tell you, it is not cheap. If you don't have sponsors, which I know Playgrounds does have sponsors, but we didn't have sponsors at the time, at least not any sponsors that were willing to put down any serious money. Yeah, it was very. We basically just had to rely on ticket prices to be able to hire venues, and in London is unbelievably expensive. There is a lot of technology stuff in Eindhoven, so it kind of makes sense. It's a very 70s industrial city, kind of ugly. Don't get me wrong, I love living close and working in this city. It's all the utility of a big city without all the fuss. Yeah, I mean, I think London is pretty fucking ugly, so... Yeah, I've never been to Eindhoven. But yeah, I'm gonna try get along to playgrounds. It seems unlikely that I would be doing a talk unless they get in touch really late. But there's always other places, and next year of course. I would like to do some talks this year though. Really enjoyed last year's. And I think people enjoyed the talk that I did, so yeah, I'd like to do it again. Playgrounds, if you're listening. Yeah, listen, I don't think London is particularly like pretty city. There are obviously like some of the touristy parts which have nice buildings and such, but most of London isn't that. It's pretty gritty. Even like in some of the tourist areas, you know, it's like it's got the appearance of being kind of nice in particular small parts, but it's actually pretty grimy. Pretty dirty city, and not in like a charming way. But I don't mind. It's where I'm from, innit? So. London has this reputation going for it. Eindhoven does not. Okay, fair. Nerding out on Doctor Who and Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, nice. There's a lot of like nerdy Harry Potter fandom in and around London because of the platform, wherever it is, 9 3/4, and it's not too far from the studio experience thing. It's like not far a train ride outside of central London to go to the Harry Potter. I don't know what you call it. All the sets from the film, anyway. So there's a lot of Harry Potter nerds running around. Yeah, Edinburgh's a lovely place. It just feels like very feels like a sort of fantasy town. Beautiful place. Yeah, you can still free camp in Scotland. Like, it's not illegal. So my wife and I we went hiking, and camped and cooked for several days out and about in the wilderness, and it was awesome. The Scottish landscapes were incredible, and we had some really nice weather. It was really, really good. Very memorable experience. Finished at Loch Ness. Which is very cool. Yeah, I'd love to do that again, actually. The free camping was cool. It's a little bit freaky at times. Like, we were hiking all day through like proper wooded area. You know, just nothing around for miles. And then like at the very end of the day, we like set up our tent on this lakeside, and like we've not seen anyone all day. And then yeah, just this like random dude turns up and like camps really close to us. And we were just like, ugh. So we moved our tent. We went and found a different spot. Yeah, this stuff on the ceiling's starting to feel a little bit better. It was just like, to me, it was feeling a bit too empty up on the ceiling, and the place didn't feel alive so much, so wanted to put some stuff up there that feels a bit more alive. Why do we have so many similar experiences? Hey, you're both just the same same version of a simulant. You've got implanted memories. You're both simulants. Haven't had an original experience, truly. There's like a slight sort of almost trypophobia kind of feel about these things. Yeah. Yeah, Oracle's got some very cool stuff. Some cool edgelords. Edgelord artist with a pink gaming keyboard. Have you got like a pink version of this? You got this version. You got the new Razer Splinter of the Abyss. Gaming knife. Gaming dagger. In pink. Pink phone case, pink iPad case, pink lights on my PC. My melody figure. I'm so pink pilled. Damn. They really got you. I think I have a piece of obsidian lying around somewhere. Who doesn't? Let's be fair. No, I actually don't have a piece. It's something I could really do with. Alright, unhinged oxygen, take care. Catch you later if you're back. Okay, I'm going to start blocking in some other structures in here. So I'm going to use like some of the negative spaces under this custom shape to sort of give the illusion of like more depth underneath some of these, so that it's less of like a flat plane and more like more terraces and stuff going down, so it's much more like vast. And then like build up some of them even higher as well. So that should give us like a really nice sort of depth going back. And to some extent a bit of like free detail in a way. Free real estate. A lot of pools, a lot of pools. And we basically just like suggest this stuff more and more as we go back. Just sort of with the edges. Then we can hide a fair amount of detail. But yeah, this has been a fun one. It's like, it was really boggling my mind a little bit yesterday. Trying to conceive of the space. Because it's not something, it's not real. Or at least not something I'm very familiar with, like sulphur pools is like, okay, I don't really know what they look like. Whereas doing a beach with a boat on it, like I've been on plenty of rainy beaches, so it's sort of easy to conceive of that space and the feeling of that space. But yeah, something like this is a bit more like, what? A bit harder to conceive of, and therefore a little bit more difficult to imagine. Oh, so it's kind of complicated when you're like looking down, as well as, basically the verticality makes it challenging. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can carry real experience over to other things and like make it feel real. The mood from one place to another you can extrapolate that, right? But certainly real experience can make things seem more rich and fleshed out. As these pools go back, they become more influenced by the Fresnel effect. So in this sense, they're gonna be reflecting the ceiling, and through the sky holes the sky, and we'll put that color in. As it goes back, we'll add some like multiply layers to this to sort of pull out a bit of depth and so on. Hell yeah. Okay, that's gonna work quite nicely. So yeah, I'm not streaming tomorrow, obviously, but I gotta go help my brother and his partner move house. So I got to carry lots of boxes tomorrow. Don't know about you, not exactly my favorite thing to do. I bet this place is absolutely stink. So I'm using a multiplier layer here to, a mask on a multiplier layer. And I'm basically masking back through that layer to reach the colors underneath. And this way I'm sort of creating areas that are lit, that these kind of sky holes are lighting, basically. And it's going to give this nice illusion of depth, because we can light things to give us form, and therefore we can start to describe a little bit like the terracing that's happening as we go further back in the image. And it's kind of like can be a nice simple way to sell the depth, going down, and also the distance things are from the camera. It's not exactly exact, like I would say the general perspective of this piece is like okay, but it's not like super exact by any means. I think it conveys enough that this kind of quicker painting needs to, without being like overly correct. Even the lighting here is not like specifically really correct either, but it's enough to get the point across. Heading up now, looking cool so far. Nice one, Oracle. Cheers for sticking around. Have a great day. Catch you around. Okay. So I'm just sort of tying up some loose ends here in the background. Some strokes. Basically, just trying to consolidate detail back there, lose a bit of contrast. Give the impression that obviously this continues really far back. It's really quite vast. But at the same time, just losing detail enough that the background just sort of sits back there a little quietly. You know, imagine there's like a little bit of sulphur in the air, well, a lot of sulphur in the air, which is going to sort of give us a bit of a haze as we go further back. I don't want this to become like really, really super hazy or anything, and I'm still going to try and keep it quite airy and light in comparison. But yeah, just sort of closing up some of the detail back here so that we can work on a few of these pillars. They're sort of rising up and touching the ceiling. And then yeah, then I'll just go around and do some like little specular stuff here and there, maybe mess around with how the light's coming through a little bit more, a little bit of like interesting color here and there. But yeah, not too far away from finishing this one up as much as I would go for this. It's been a really fun one. I do have in mind like another environment that I want to do. I want to maybe do something with a bit of like architecture in it this time as well. You know, we sort of went from essentially using like a photo and studying it with the forest, and then we did the beach where we used like a lot of ref, and it was still like a kind of a real life place. And then this one, which is like a lot more kind of made up, if you like, in terms of the architecture of it, or at least the structure of it. And that gives it a bit more of a kind of an otherworldliness. And so the next one I want to do, I would like to introduce some actual architecture. Is something that's quite difficult, I think. And I've got something that I want to do. There's basically this environment in Path of Exile called the Abyss, which is like, I guess it's like hell, but it's all sort of black and green, and they have these kind of like chapel kind of buildings down there. You know, it's sort of reminiscent, like very sort of dark, smoky, lots of huge bones everywhere, and yeah, it's kind of like an abyss, but it has this sort of big chapel down there, or like chapel kind of structures that exist, and I wouldn't mind doing like a sort of an abyss image. Basically, the kind of environment that this would come from, and I kind of want to do that next, so I think that could be pretty interesting for me. Yeah, let's get that real like sulphur yellow. I want to try. Proper acid yellow. Just a little bit of that in the air. Okay, pillars time. We have neglected them thus far, and they're annoying me. We cannot put them off any longer. want to put like too much detail behind my sort of main focal point here, so I am sort of knocking that down a little bit in contrast. But I still want to give the impression that this thing has lots of like terraces on it. Terraces of these pools. It's like gigantic, you know, it's really like rising up. And these ones are above the horizon line, so we're actually just seeing the slight underside of these ones. Always got to be aware of where your horizon line is so that you can correctly indicate stuff. It doesn't need to be super exact, like a lot of the time with perspective stuff, if the suggestion is close enough, it will work. The eye is pretty good at working things out for the most part, but if it's too off, then it won't work. But yeah, this seems to be working okay. Let's work on this one. Again, these are like super far back now, so doesn't need a ton of detail. We've got stuff in the foreground which like has the same details, so it's pretty good at, our eye's pretty good at being like, oh, this looks similar in shape to this, so this thing looks like this back there. So you don't need to have a ton of detail, which is good because you don't want to have to paint terraces for kilometers heading all the way back into the piece. We just suggest them. Where am I? Here. me one sec, just gonna grab my lunch. It's quite nice at being a little darker, a little bluer actually, in the shadow. Okay, and then just seeing if we can like collapse that back to being slightly lighter value. So the ceiling I think should retain a certain amount of warmth, or at least like slightly more desaturated, but not quite the blue. But I do like the sort of bluey green as we go further down. Just trying to find like the right balance, basically. Yeah, okay, that's starting to feel a lot better. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that is starting to look a lot better. But so I'm just messing with the levels from the sort of like mid ground to the background. And just trying to find the right, I say the right, like a color balance to me that feels like nice and interesting, but also kind of sells us on the on the lighting conditions that we have. So I like this because it gives us like a little bit more of a like punchy sky and like light coming through the caves. Yo, Jeff, what's going on? So it's just a little bit more punchy there. We'll see what we can do with some curves. And I'm just selecting the that's a bit too much. Selecting the different colors here and just adjusting the curves to try and get something interesting. I'm not doing this in any sort of like really specific way. This is more just like tinkering to find that out. So like it was there. This is with the levels adjustment, which it makes it like a little bit more punchier, and then this is bringing in a little bit of the warms again, and then I'm going to sort of mask out some of these warms a little bit. And just get a nice mix of that like warm and cool in the shadows, because it was missing a little bit of that, and it gives it it was starting to just feel a little bit hazy. And like I said, this place does have obviously like a lot of sulphur going on, but I didn't want it to be like a super hazy image. I wanted there to be a certain amount of punch. I still think some of these values down here are a little bit too much. And I'm wondering if I maybe knock back the brightness and essentially cut off the lighting a little bit in some of these areas that it's just not quite as bright. Sort of competing with my focal area a little bit. But it is kind of nice when it's punchy like that. Okay, these need to desaturate a little bit. Hey, what's going on with you though? Manifold? Are you good? I really like the sketches that you posted last night and stuff that you've been working on. You got really nice shape design and stuff going on. I like it, mate. Bravo. Just putting a little extra detail in my sort of focal area now, just to help push this as being like somewhat more the point to look at. Just making sure that smoke is a bit more enhanced on it. And then might drop a little bit of something down here to help this. It's the wrong color though. Go a bit more. Let's close that. Yeah, no, you got some cool stuff going on. I like it a lot. Yeah, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the stream, but we did a cool dagger. We did this, the Splinter of the Abyss, kind of like an obsidian dagger of sorts. It's quite fun. I really want to do some more of this. I kind of want to do an environment based on this, reminiscent of Path of Exile. Nothing coming. Yeah, you can't be picking this up early levels. Insane attack damage. Going to do more quicker designs and get into a new project with more than just one page. Yeah, nice. I mean, yeah, your style appears like it could be something that you could do in kind of pretty decent time frame. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool to build something out and do something a bit larger in scope. I've been really enjoying that about doing these environments actually, and just trying to sort of do a process that overly doesn't take a ton of time, but still has like nice results, you know. It's been quite refreshing, honestly, to do that. Yeah, it's just on hold kind of briefly while I get these environment stuff out of my system, really. You know when you just got something that you really want to do, and it's, you know, it takes, like, basically I was doing the bigger illustration, which I was really enjoying, don't get me wrong, but I just then got a real hankering to do some environment stuff, and I was like, I need to kind of do that when the inspiration is there, to do that stuff, and so yeah, it felt better to just put that illustration on hold for now, and then jump onto these. But I will get back to it. Like I was really enjoying it. It wasn't anything to do with not enjoying it. And there is a fair amount of like cloud and stuff in that, which I guess you could call landscape in a way. But yeah, this honestly just started to take a bit more like precedence in my mind. So, and you know, as I always say, you got to follow your interest and your inspiration. That's how you produce your best work, you know. And I've wanted to spend some more time on environment stuff for forever, you know. And just like due to work and stuff, I've just not been able to. But now I can. I'm really glad I'm spending a bit of time on it, you know. Yeah, exactly. And like, honestly, these aren't even taking me that long. I mean, the boat one was like about 10 hours or less. This one, we spent 3 hours on it yesterday. I've spent 2 hours on it today. And yeah, I'll probably call it done for what it is at the end of the stream today. So that'll be 6 hours altogether. And I'm learning a ton on each one, so yeah, it's really fun. Some of the most fun I've had making personal work in a long time, so. Sounds like a lovely mental space to be in, though. I've had an idea for a little simple illustration, but I'm not at a point where I feel like I have the luxury to spend time on drawing. That's not really going into the direction that I want to go job-wise. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. But still, get it down in the sketchbook, and then when you have some time that you feel like is time that you are able to give back to it every now and again, keep it going. I've got a little thing that's in my sketchbook that I want to do. I probably will do it on stream at some point. I've got this idea of like an image of all these fish just like swimming at the camera, and they're all like stylized fish, and they're all like kind of like rushing past the camera, and they all have kind of like, you know, very Pixar-esque kind of facial expressions and rendering and everything. And I did like a quick sketch of it in my sketchbook, and I was like, oh, that would be a really fun one to do on stream. You know, just the whole idea of doing lots of like fish render and getting that sort of metallic-y scales stuff to feel right, and all that. I think that would be really fun to do. But yeah, the environments at the moment, that's the thing. And I also want to do like an environment next that has some kind of architecture in it. So I think that's probably the next one that I'm going to do. I'm just using a lighten layer right now to pull values closer together at certain depths in the illustration and sort of homogenize the brush strokes so that there are less things that are sort of grabbing visual attention in that sense, and that's going to sort of simplify the illustration a little bit at certain depths. Let's see, maybe. Yeah, just put like a little sketch in the sketchbook, just as a visual note. It might help you get it sort of out of your head while you do other stuff as well. Just like little sketch. little thing to be like, I'm coming back to this. Happy to see you enjoy art so much. Yeah, I haven't done for a little while, honestly. Haven't done for a little while. Yeah, exactly. Just sit on a little rough one. Do you know, I honestly would love to be able to like stream full-time artwork and just do stuff like this and tutorials, you know, paint overs and that kind of stuff full-time, but I just don't think it's viable, unfortunately. It would be extremely rewarding. It'd be extremely rewarding, but yeah, I just don't think it's like a viable way to make a living. Yeah, a friend did suggest like, oh, why don't you do Patreon kind of thing, and I guess that is a way that makes it possible, but obviously you gotta have lots of patrons for that, and that takes some time to build up, you know. But yeah, I've been extremely enjoying streaming again. Extremely. Yeah, a combination might work. I think you would have to consistently post reels and shorts for like half a year, build up a following through secondary channels. I don't think it's far out of an idea. It's just a lot of social media managing that would drain time. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know that I want to like eat into savings for 6 months or so to try and get that off the ground. But I don't know. I'd give it some more thought, honestly. I've not completely ruled out the idea, but it, you know, I would have to take it quite seriously in that sense and really, you know, really think about what it is I'm going to offer. Can I fulfill those things? And like, does that mean that in the fulfilling of, say, doing something like a Patreon, you know, am I also getting further away from the enjoyment of just doing it? Like, I've been enjoying streaming basically for just the purposes of streaming. Like, it's just really nice to do. And like, if I try and make it into anything more than it currently is, am I running the risk of in 6 months' time or something being like, ah man, like there's a lot of this stuff that isn't streaming. There's, there's so much other stuff to it that I don't really enjoy, and the constant, you know, need to provide the content and stuff. Is it worth it? Am I still enjoying it the same way? You know, that's some questions that I need to ask myself, isn't it? Awesome moods. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a nice day. What do you think? Is it nicer with the sort of slight depth of field to the background? Or do you prefer it a bit more with the visible strokes? I think maybe the ceiling feels better, kind of slightly blurred out a bit, and maybe like over here. But the strokes back here I kind of like they provide like just enough kind of detail that it's quite nice. Back here maybe is better just simplified, and like over here and the ceiling is, yeah, maybe a bit better simplified. Yeah, exactly. It's like, obviously there's the bit I enjoy, right, which is streaming. I really enjoy doing paint overs and like helping people with their artwork, and I really enjoy the teaching aspect of that. You know, we do a lot of that on stream here, and it's like some of my favorite things to do is that, and that's all well and good. But then there's that whole other side of it, like you said, which would be like editing streams down into smaller clips and posting those regularly to sort of get people involved, and having to market the Patreon and then provide the regular content for the Patreon, whatever that would be. Maybe that's like regular paint overs and stuff for just the Patreons and that kind of a thing. And like, how much time is that? Like, is that something that I could do myself? That's pardon me. And obviously it would probably take a year or so to build that up, and that's assuming everything goes correct and people even want the service. In any case, I saw these architecture landscape drawings recently. Really cool if you haven't seen them yet. Yeah, I've seen this, dude. Yep. I like these a lot. I was looking at this one the other day. I really like it. Does a really nice job of very, very, very tight values that suggest the detail of this wall. Like, I don't even know if you can see this on stream. Let me take it into Photoshop. But like, there is texture here, and it is so tight in value range, but you can see it in here. There's like an ever so slight hue difference. Like, this is kind of slightly pinker, this is slightly redder, and you know, there's like edges on the strokes. You know, if you go, I could see how you'd make this kind of stroke, like if I do it on top, and I pick this kind of color. If I was to do that, and open this up, I think you do something like this with the bevel and emboss. where you turn this all the way down. You could get something like that going on. But yeah, his is even like much tighter than that. And it just works so well to give you the texture of the building and like the roof and stuff. I don't know. There ultimately isn't a lot of detail, but there's so much like subtle texture in that yeah, it looks really nice. Outer glow, you reckon? Where are we? Yeah. Yeah, that has like a nice little edge to it. You could change the color of that. Yeah, it's really nice though. By Jove, I think you've cracked it. But yeah, you can see very similar effect, if not exactly the effect, to play around with. But yeah, I do want to do a landscape that has a bit of architecture in it, and like it's going to have some kind of like church or chapel kind of thing. So I'll definitely use that kind of technique to do something similar here. But yeah, I really enjoy that guy's work. I saw it also. I saved it on my art station the other day, and I was like, ooh, very nice. Hey guys, I just need to use the bathroom quickly, and then I'll come back and I'll noodle on this image a little bit more. I'll leave you with it. I'll leave you with it. You can have a look at it while I go to the bathroom. But I'll be right back. All right, two minutes. Yo. Yo, yo, yo. He's back. So, I was going to open up the other couple of these that I did quickly, so give me a sec. So we had Shipwreck Cove and Misty Forest. And Misty Forest. Let's get that. Hey, Lieutenant Danny. Hello again, how are you doing? Good morning. It is now the afternoon here. It is 1:15. Quarter past one. Oh, come on. I'm just grabbing... Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just putting some of these landscapes together on one sheet. And then I think I might do some scribbling for the last 45. I'm kind of kind of basically done with where I wanted to take this one. You know, so yeah, this is the one from yesterday that we started yesterday, and like, yeah, I'm kind of done with where it's at right now, to be honest. Like, I only intended to work on it for a couple of streams to just sort of flesh out an idea and see if I could build it up. So we have this. So yeah, what I'm gonna do, I just wanted to put these all on the same sheet together just to have a look at them, because why not? And then, yeah, I'm gonna sort of scribble out a composition for the idea with these things at the top is kind of like you know, something like this, where it's like the sulphur that is like dripping from the ceiling and stuff is like forming these stalactites in a way, but they're a bit more like sort of just different and organic feeling. I don't know, like, it's not the most accomplished environment in the world, but I enjoyed making it, and it kind of It turned out something close to what I had in mind. It's not very often that that happens. You know, like the picture you have in your head actually working out and becoming a reality. Don't know about you, but that never happens to me. Yeah, it's, you know, Barnacles is probably something close to what it's trying to be, in a way. I just felt, when I got home last night, you know, I was like, well, we'll have a quick look at what I did on stream today. And I was like, oh, man, the ceiling seems like a little bit empty for me. So had a bit of a think about what that would be. Looked at the ref and I was like, oh, okay, and something like that would be quite nice. Just give it a bit of interest. And so on. Why does this keep wanting to select that? So annoying. Okay, sorry. Crash out. Valid crash out. Happens to me all the time. I'm working on a character concept right now, and clothing and movement is always the hardest, so I've been redrawing this damn cape way more than I should. Yeah, man, capes, you can be redrawing a cape over and over again and over again. The cape, or like the flow of some hair, or yeah, we were working on this other illustration, and I was redoing the drapery on this over and over and over again. It was really annoying me. Yeah, specifically in here, and like, yeah, I still want to change it even now. This is work in progress. We will get back to this one at some point. But yeah, the drapery on this one was taking forever. Doesn't even look bad right now, but the vibe is off. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. It's the vibes have gone. Yeah, so I'm gonna do like a few more of these landscapes and like just build up a small like quick landscapes thing for my art station. You know, I'm really quite happy with where these ended up in the time. So the next one I want to do is close these down. Nope. I will keep that open. And this one we saved. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, so the next one I want to do is basically imagine a really sort of, or maybe I can even find a ref picture. So sorry, I'm just trying to find some images, but basically it's going to be like black and green and like really really dark and like the abyss in Path of Exile. Just this kind of really really dark and green kind of area, but it's going to have like a big sort of stone chapel in there and lots of bones making up the floor and just the general vibe of the place. That's what I'd like to do. And yeah, I want it to have some kind of architecture in it, some kind of chapel kind of thing. But this is the place in the game. There's not really any good pictures of it really. But green and black. And that's why we did the dagger at the beginning of the stream. This is, imagine a place where this dagger could be. So really inspired by PoE. Yeah, man, I'm having a great time playing that game. I'm not gonna like rabbit on about it, because if no one knows what that game is, then it's not very interesting for that reason. But yeah. So yeah, let's have a little mess around in the old Panopana. Yeah, it'd be cool to do something where we're like sort of looking down and then have, sort of like broken walkway that maybe comes in. Maybe there's another portion of it that's like this, where it's fallen away. Stuff like this. All kind of like bones and these rock faces go down that they're coming from, like, and then I don't know, maybe that is just like the pit down there, and these are some really really tall, like in the rock face kind of like chapel sort of thing that goes down. I don't know, I'll have to have a little think. It'd be nice to do a different view like the other ones that we've drawn. That these two basically are very similar. Like, camera's quite low to the floor here, camera's a bit higher here, and then camera is like higher up, but at least we see downwards quite a bit. There's a lot more verticality in this one, and so on. So it'd be nice to maybe do something where we're looking more extremely downward. Could be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I need to have a think about what the framing is and like what we're looking at. My original thought was like, oh, it's like we're just looking straight at a chapel, you know, and it's kind of quite a normal shot. But that's no fun. Just thinking of these like two huge towers that we see like rising out of the the abyss, or even 3. Fuck's sake, fuck off. With like bridges that are going across, and these bridges are like broken even. Yeah, imagine they've got like big spiral staircases going up that we see. And we're looking down, and then like, I don't know, there's just some maybe like rocky outcrops here that span out over the abyss and stuff, and we're just like really looking down. You know, down here it's just going to be like the abyss, the darkness, with some green stuff, and we just got these towers going up. We could find like a nice composition there. Ooh, that's kind of nice. A Sith kind of Starkiller inspired. Cool. That sounds cool, man. This is why Pano Painter's nice. Like, even if it's very rough, just being able to like scribble these things down, and then with the Balrog, yeah, just be able to scribble these things down and like move the camera around and zoom in and out a little bit, and just sort of like find an interesting version of the shot. So good. You know, I end up always getting pretty inspired by even just the rough scribbles for stuff like this, because I can really feel the space and the, you know, the sense of scale in the shot itself. It's in a way that I couldn't scribble this out in Photoshop and have that same immediate like, oh, this could work as a composition sort of thing. And like I said, even in Pano Painter, I'm literally scribbling, right? But because you have the grid and the space available, it just makes it hella easy to conceive of the idea spatially, and I think that's half the battle, really. It's like if you can conceive of it in the space, and you can see it, and you can move the camera around a little bit and try and really feel that shot out. It's really, really very useful stuff. Who isn't guilty of putting too many capes on their characters? Yeah. Yeah, who doesn't love a cape, mate? Who doesn't love a cape? Ooh, sorry. All right. Yeah, last 20 minutes for today. I'm just going to take this over into Photoshop and drop a bit of value behind it and see if we can't. But yeah, next week, streaming, we'll be doing a new landscape, most likely. I'm going to obviously have a bit of a think about what that's going to be. Well, I know kind of the subject matter. Let's say it's just how it's going to play out. But then I also want to do some more sword warm-ups, so we'll do a few more of these as warm-ups before stuff. So that should be fun. But yeah, that'll be all next week. I'm just gonna sort of scribble down this rough idea, and then I'll let it percolate over the weekend. See if we can't make something cool out of it. Yeah, I'm away this weekend. I've got paintball training with the team, which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm helping my brother move house tomorrow, which will be alright. And then on Sunday, I'm going to be in a lot of pain on Sunday. So I'm just going to relax at home, play some Path of Exile. Did you get new boots? Nah, I didn't, man. Like, I didn't find any that were comfortable. And also, they've got so expensive in the last year. So I went home and I kind of cleaned up and repaired a little bit my old ones, and I'm just going to wear those instead. But yeah, I went to the shop and I was like, what the hell's going on in here? Why are football boots so expensive now? Like, I bought those ones for like 25 quid and they were perfect. And I couldn't find any that were like less than 40 quid yesterday, and I was like, I'm not doing it. Moving always makes me hear boss music. The washing machine raises my pulse, and curved stairways. Yeah, we've got to get like a bed frame down and out of my brother's house, and I remember getting it up in there was a pain in the ass. So yeah, it's gonna be a bit shitty. But still, we'll get lots of cups of tea out of it, you know? I'm in it all for the tea. Yeah, I don't know if this bonus points if you can take it apart. Just watch out for your wrists and grippers. Yeah, exactly. It'll be alright. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about this composition a bit more. I'm not actually like super sold on this kind of thing. Oh, pardon me. And I do want to have a bit more architecture in there, so we'll see. But now that idea's there, it's percolating in the background. And yeah, kind of happy with where this one ended up. Said it's not super detailed or anything, but my intention was never to make it so. It's just meant to be a kind of quick and stylized way to conceive of a landscape from some reference and build it up from scratch. So I'm kind of happy with that in that sense. It worked out pretty well. Yeah. Not really much to say. I kind of run out of energy, really. The streaming does that, especially after 3 days. I guess that's another thing to consider. Is that it really does take it out of you, you know? Talking and painting is quite a bit of mental energy. You know, I often come back from the stream and just crash out on the sofa for an hour. Swap out the tea for coffee on Thursday. Yeah, I had a coffee. I had a couple of coffees today. I think past a certain point of being tired as well, coffee just actually makes me more tired. Apologies. Bless you. Dankeschön. Mega schön. All right, guys. I'm gonna end it here. I'm out of energy. It's a great stream. I wish you all a lovely weekend, whatever you do. If you want to check out the process for making this, it will be on YouTube. There's a nice playlist there of all the streams. And yeah, have a great time. I'll catch you all next week. We'll be back here Tuesday, 11 a.m. UK time, and we'll do something brand new. We'll start off with a new dagger, and then we'll probably jump into some cool landscape thing. So anyway, wish you all a great time. Thanks for tuning in. It's really nice of you all. It's nice to have a chat as well. So take care, have a good one, and peace out.